Did you know teachers aren't humans? They're not allowed to show stress or age, have health problems, show fear, waste time, and most of all, fail. They're not even allowed to go to the bathroom. But that's okay, because we're here to talk about how we're all just playing a role. And at 3 o'clock, we get to be us again. 40 years ago, two 8-year-old boys were bored out of their minds in school, and they vowed one day they would do something about it. They did it to honor their friends. They did it to honor their classmates. They did it for the love of learning. I'm Matt, and this is Rob, and 40 years later, we get our turn, but now we're playing teacher.
Recording in progress.
Alrighty, welcome to Playing Teacher. I am Matt. This is Rob here, and Brugge, who's driving right now. And
I'm gonna turn my camera off.
Matt, where's Brugge on your screen? Is she below you or next to you?
No, you're next to me, and she's next to you. You know.
Oh, because I have her below me.
No,
so yeah,
doesn't sound good. All right. Anyway, move right along here.
Idiot.
What?
So
What'd I say?
I turned off my camera. How are you guys?
Okay, we're good.
How are you doing? What
How
you
are,
do today?
how are you doing?
I'm soaking wet.
Okay.
So today we had field day, and it was raining.
Well, okay, all right.
And so
Gotcha.
we got to the field, and it's been raining in New York for the past, I want to say 2.5, 3 days, right, Maddie? It's been raining for that long. It's been raining, yeah. So the field was wet.
It's like raining all the time. Yeah.
But the weather said it was going to be fine today, so we all went, packed up the bus, and then packed up our cars, and we got.
Did you guys go to where we went when I went the last time there with you guys?
Yes. That huge field. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's a cool place. Yeah.
And then Rob calls me, and I'm like, my feet are soaking wet. I was soaking wet. And then right after he called me, I think that was like around 11. Our AP called it and was like, we have to leave. I mean, kids were like running. They were doing rocket launchers in the mud. They were doing. We were running on the field. The kids were slipping. Like it was just. But they were having so much fun. They were having.
You don't care. I remember being a kid playing like 10 hours of basketball in the rain, not caring, coming back, you're drenched. You don't care when you're that age.
Absolutely, yeah.
What's funny though is like this is in New York City, the one day of the year where the kids actually get to touch grass. Like they actually get to just be on a field. It just starts pouring rain. I mean, yeah, and I'm sure that they didn't care, but when the teachers are miserable, it kind of it takes away from the experience of the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Like one kid peed on the bus, had to go back to the building, change his pants, and then when we came back to the building, I'll send you a picture. There's just shoes sitting in the hallway, lined up, kids' shoes and sneakers in the hallway. So the entire. Like all the classrooms smelled like dirty socks.
You guys know I don't like wet feet. I used to change my socks during the day at work.
Yeah, he told us.
Yeah, that's when no one ever wanted to share a room with me again because I would change my socks.
He needs to stretch out.
He needs to stretch out.
He needs to stretch out.
For all you teachers out there, if you want your own office, change your socks a few times a day, and no one's going to want to have.
It's like someone clipping their toetoenails on the subway. Like no one wants to sit next to that.
Yeah.
But the kids loved it. They had the
anyway.
best time. Like they were cheering and they were just having the best time. So it's cool. All worth it. That's
a lot different than cutting your toenails. Yeah.
I have a quick field trip story. My first year teaching I'm not going to say the number. Actually, I can say it. But I'm not going to. So first year teaching, and this is when Neil and I started together. Dr. Neil is going to be a guest pretty soon on the podcast.
Dr. Neil Oliva. Yeah.
And so, so Neil and I each teach fourth grade. We're at field day. Now, all of the other teachers, there are like, 10 different classes out there. The sun is beating down. All the other teachers are miserable. This is Neil and I's first field day. And we're just so into it. You know what I mean? Like, and we have our classes are excited. It comes down to a potato sack race between our classes where Neil and I are the anchors, right?
Dude, that's
Oh
my
my
favorite
God,
memory
that's the best.
also.
Yeah. So
That's the
That's my
best.
favorite memory. I had
well, let me finish. Let me
oh,
finish.
yeah, okay, go ahead.
So it comes down to our classes against each other, where Neil and I are the anchors, right? And the timing is perfect where the two classes finish, and Neil and I are now getting into the potato sacks, and we're head to head, and we are hopping, and like it's like something out of like Chariots of Fire, and then we like we fall over the line basically at the same time. Each of our classes think that they won. You know what I mean? Like it was too close to call. My kids literally, this is against my will, lifted me up. Like,
Oh my God.
like when you carry
That's
someone,
Oh
awesome.
my God, it's
I
so
was
good.
I was in the air being carried by fourth graders. I was like, I didn't even know what was happening. I was like,
That's so cool. Did you guys come in first?
well, it was just
It was a
like
tie.
there was no judge or anything. It was just
Right,
like,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so there was no way to determine like who technically, we didn't have any video footage. So yeah, I think we just decided to declare it a tie, but
I love that they
I
lift you
tied for
up. That's
third
fantastic.
place in that, right? And then they gave us, we just made by getting in third, you still got like a trophy, like a little crappy trophy.
wait,
But
as a kid or as a
I
teen?
know as a kid, yeah, no,
I
I'm
don't
doing
know.
this now,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
maybe it was like against other
me and
teachers,
you were hanging out, yeah, no,
Well, that's what Neil and I were doing. Okay, so you came in third place as a kid, potato sack race.
yeah. I'm trying to remember. It was potato. No,
Was it
what's the
three-legged
one?
race?
No, yeah, the three-legged. When you hold, when you
Yeah.
hold on to
Yes.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and your legs are together. No, it was a three-legged race. Yeah, that's what it was. And
Yep.
we just tied my friend Mike, and we were, so we got our arms around each other. And we're going. I have pictures of it somewhere,
Dude.
and we
Yeah.
just tied for third. I never forgot that. It was like
No.
amazing. It was
No.
at the beach. It turned out to be at the beach club that I was going to, where I remember
Yep.
everyone's locker combination. I
Mm-hmm.
remember my locker combination, my
Yep.
father's, right? That they took us to that same beach club, Brighton Bats, and we had it there. It's, great place and I never forgot the race,
Yeah.
40 years ago, and I still
Yeah.
remember that moment crossing the
Field
finish line.
days, field days as a kid was always the best. The
My
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
Best
My
memory.
friend Peter and I did first place at the GRYC
yeah,
summer camp field day in the three-legged race also.
fun.
So yeah. Brugge, do you have any like first place finishes in your history as a field day
N-
competitor?
No, I just have the three-legged race with my son. When Austin was little, we entered with parents and other children at some field day, and we did win. So I was very excited.
Wait,
I was very,
how old was he?
oh my God. It was probably 6
Okay.
at the time, 6 or
I'm
7.
picturing you like dragging a toddler like
No, no, but my arms were around him so hard.
Move it, Austin.
We
Move
are
it.
winning. We are winning this.
No, I know you're so competitive. That's what I'm saying.
You
See
know
him
what?
dragging.
This leads me into something. Speaking of being competitive and being a winner, I want to just give some props to Janine Brugge for a recent placement in. Well, I'm going to let her tell the story, but this is a citywide New York City Minecraft competition. So can you tell us about what happened there, Brugge?
Sure.
Listen.
So all of the schools who wanted to submit builds for the Minecraft Battle of the Boroughs.
Battle of the
So it
Boroughs.
was New York City school, the 5 boroughs in New York City. And then 25 from the borough gets picked, and then you get to go and battle. So we battled. One of ours was picked to battle at Thomas Edison High School this past weekend. So then what ends up happening is they take groups of 5 out of that 25, and then you battle 5 people. So you battle a room of 5, not 5 people, 5 groups.
Yeah.
And then, so we ended up winning for our room. So we were able to go, so that's called the preliminary round. So then we go to the semifinals. And then we made it to the semifinals. We also won for our district, which was pretty cool. And then we ended up losing the semifinal round to another school that actually made it to semifinals the past 3 years. So I was really happy that they won.
What can you just describe what it means to battle, though?
Yeah, sure. So a battle is you receive like a prompt. So everyone receives a prompt, and basically a prompt says like we want you to build recycling. We want you to build something that's sustainable, like
a city or something. Yeah.
A city, right? A city, a beachfront location, something that like where you would have to put like e-bikes and think about like solar panels and really like think about how you would city and make it sustainable, right?
Yeah. So for all the Minecraft people
like
out there,
even thinking about
they're potentially using things like redstone and like coding and like code blocks and like, you know, they're designing and building something in real time, basically based on a prompt that they hadn't seen before.
Yeah, so you get a half an hour to plan out your builds and research, and then you get a half an hour to actually build what you've designed on paper, which is really great. Yeah.
And you're not allowed in the room.
No, so we are allowed in the room for the design part. Last year, we were allowed in the room for design and build. This year, we were only allowed in for the design.
Yeah, people probably cheated last year.
And then the kids get 5 minutes to present their build, and they have to be able to show teamwork, be able to communicate with one another, all of that.
So it's not just about the game. They have to be able to do the presentation and
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this must mean that you must be a Minecraft expert.
Well, last year we won for Queens, so we got to go to the finals last year. So the finals were in Brooklyn, and that was pretty cool. So we battled all the other boroughs. Yeah.
So you, Janine, must be a Minecraft expert.
I am not a Minecraft expert.
How can you explain this then? How can you explain this track record?
You do not have to be an expert you do not have to be a Minecraft expert to be a coach in Minecraft. My kids are the experts.
Yeah, but I mean the coach has something to do with the success of the team.
I mean, sure.
I'm leading into my dissertation topic here. Don't try to knock me down. This is game-based teaching, basically. But I am giving you credit here. I'm basically saying that you have a quality as a coach, right? Where you don't have to. So, for example, if you look at the Olympics and you look at track and field or something, you may have a coach who's not actually a track and field star, someone who may never have been in the Olympics, but they have an understanding of like biomechanics and physiology, and you know, so they're a top rated coach for runners, even though they themselves have never been a championship runner, right? So there's something about your coaching style that leads to success, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I believe.
I appreciate that. I mean, also just being an educator and being able to talk to the kids, like for example, before we received word that we win, I always say to them, listen, if we don't win, just make sure that you cheer on the other team. We don't want to appear as sore losers. Like, we want to make sure that we are always like putting on a positive front. Yes, you can feel bad that we lost, of course, but you don't want to, talk about another team for winning, or like maybe what they did, quote unquote, wrong in their build.
The sportsmanship. Yeah, you're teaching sportsmanship along the way. These are life skills.
Yeah.
And they're building friendships though too, because they're the same kids like that. I've been doing this for a year already, right?
Actually, so no, this year we took on 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So
it changes a little bit. Yeah.
So we changed it a little bit.
But
they get to work all year, right? Together. This is like a full year.
So we start in December, and then we work with them for a couple of months.
The rush for them when they start advancing on something like this has to be so incredible, and such a boost for their confidence.
Yes, they were so excited. I mean, just the screams. I have a video of them screaming when we won for semifinals. They were jumping up and down. I was crying. I was so happy for them.
Did they lift you up?
No.
No. Well, It's okay.
No, Rob.
Yeah.
Wait, so I do have
Not
to
everybody
say
gets that
this.
treatment.
I have to tell you, like the kids work so well under pressure. So when we got to the final room, we were supposed to start at 10:30. The elementary schools didn't start until 1 or 1:30. So by the time we got to the semifinals, it was almost 4 or 4, and they were closing the building. So the judges were like, all right, you got a half an hour to plan, a half an hour to build, and only 3 minutes to present.
Wow.
Whereas we are supposed to get 5 minutes to present. So my kids didn't even review like their composting gardens or any of like their code building in the sky. Like they weren't able to go over any of that. So it really came down to the kids who were able to present under pressure in less than 3 minutes everything.
Right.
So yeah. So because if you didn't present it, then it's not seen and it doesn't count.
Yeah, like it
So
never
if you
happened,
don't,
right?
yeah. So if you don't mention Redstone or Code Builder, so it's really you have to choose the kids wisely.
Use wisely.
Yeah.
He has chosen
Choose
wisely.
Choose
Yeah.
wisely.
You have chosen wisely.
What's that from, guys?
Indiana Jones, Temple of
Which one?
No. No, The Last Crusade.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. Very
All right.
good.
Thank you.
All right, Maddie.
So it was great.
Well, I was just going to say, I was talking about friendship. Now, does everybody get along in your group, Brugge? Does anybody, get on any of the, let's say somebody messes up. Is there anybody in the group that picks on anybody else?
So we're talking
You
about.
suck.
Yeah. Let's say somebody
No.
messes up. Is any,
No,
do they-
I have like I have 4 core friends, like one of them since 3rd grade, the others from 7th grade, and we've been tight ever since then. Like they're my core group of friends.
Mhm.
And
So
we never
basically-
picked on each other. Yeah, no, we stand
So
up for
there's
each other, protect each other.
nobody in the group that's a bully, I should say,
No.
because I'm leading into another topic, and I wanted to talk about today with you guys what's called the upstander. And the reason I know this word is because Brugge taught it to me.
Me too.
Yeah, I didn't know what this meant.
No.
So,
It's like Highlander. I saw it and I thought Highlander. I was like, okay, what are we talking about?
I just said like, hey, I said like, the person that protects you from a bully, and she's like, oh yeah, the upstander. I was like, huh? She's like,
Yeah, because
that's a thing.
Yeah, because you have a bully, a victim, and then an upstander, the person who stands up.
Yeah, and you might have bystanders who do nothing.
Right. Well, that's what I keep thinking about when you say it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's also the bystanders, of course. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to talk a little bit about our own personal history from being in school, and if we've had somebody as an upstander for us, if we were bullying. Have you guys been in an experience where you were bullied and someone stood up for you?
I have, but I want to hear your story, Matt, first, because you've been kind of like, we try not to talk about these stories off air. And so like we're talking about the topic a few days ago and I've been waiting like 96 hours to hear this story now. So,
well, did you see the movie 3 O'clock High?
No.
All right. Well, anyway, I might be getting the title wrong, and anyway, there's a guy that's all day long, this guy wants to beat him up. Right.
Yeah.
And like he's telling them all day, we're going to fight at 3 o'clock. I think that was the name of it. I might be wrong, and they actually do like finally have a fight, and he gets beat up. Right. But let me tell you about me. I'm sitting there in 3rd grade. This kid comes over to me. Right. This kid named Chris comes over to me and he's like, we're going to fight after school. And then what I say to him is, why? I didn't know. I didn't have any problem with him. We didn't have any beef.
Maddie, how old were you?
So I was in 3rd grade. So I don't know. Do the math. 7.
All right.
4, 5, 6, about 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, something like that. Right. So I'm there. Let's say I'm 7 years old sitting there. This kid comes up to me and he says, we're going to fight after school. And I say, why? And then this is early in the morning. So now you have to do work. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like sweating and freaking out. And I didn't understand. So every time he had a chance to bump into me, and he was new, right? Every time he had a chance to bump into me that day, he would say, we're going to fight after school. And I would say the same thing. Why? I really wanted to understand it. You know what I mean? I had more of a problem like that he wanted to do this and I didn't know the reason. Maybe I was going to talk myself out of it. I don't know, right? I think I had one fight up until then, in my life. So this is like, I don't want to fight somebody. I don't even know this kid, right? So he keeps telling me all day we're going to fight. Now he's not bigger than me, because that's big. When you're in school, that's a big thing. If someone's bigger, you have to fight them, right? He was smaller than me, but he looked like he can kick my ass. I don't know. He just looked like I was going down. This was not good. So finally, it's the end of the day, and he's following me outside the school, right?
Oh my
And he's
God.
like, yeah, he's following me. Now, where I'm going now is to meet my babysitter, right? And my babysitter meets me. I have to leave the school, and we have the biggest schoolyard. I have to walk across the schoolyard, and she meets me on the outside in the street. Back then in the 80s, they just let you out, So I would be waiting in the street, and she comes by. She doesn't even come into the school. So I don't know why it was that way, but that's how it was, right? So I'm over there, and he's like, "We're gonna fight right now." Now, what I didn't know was my friend Jay, who had a bad day, right? Getting to the upstander part, is walking like down like the other way, right? Across us. And Chris is telling me we're gonna fight right now. And I say, why? Why? We're gonna fight right now. Jay comes right over just at that right time, sees Chris picking on me, and he just starts choking him out right in front of me. And I'm watching this, and he's dragging him around, choking him out like this, like I'm talking UFC style, throws him on the floor, and then Jay just walks away. Right? My babysitter shows up about 5 seconds later, looking at Chris on the floor, and she says to me, "What happened?" And it just came out. I was like, "Jamie beat up Chris." And Jamie was gone, and Chris is on the floor, and I didn't get beat up. Nothing happened after that. And here's where it gets really weird. 3 years later, when we went to middle school, this kid, for that time when I was in middle school, became one of my best friends.
The bully.
The bully.
The bully.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Because we didn't know anybody else. All right. This is a fast forward 3 years later. We're in middle school. We went into one of the schools, the gifted and talented, but it was like, I don't know. Somehow we both got in. He was in band, I was in music, right? And we don't know anybody there. All our other friends went to the schools where they it was like burning garbage cans. It was just dangerous. And somehow this saved our lives more or less. It gave us 3 years of just being able to not, like die basically in school, and walk over a bridge where you're almost scared to death every day. My friends would call it the trestle. It was dangerous. Anyway, so I walk in there. I don't know anybody. And I see Chris, and he's like this, "Matt," and he calls me over, and like this, and I'm looking at him, and then I look back and I see like an auditorium full of strangers. I don't know anybody there. And then I look back at him. He's like, "Matt," and he called me over. So am I going to walk over to the kid who once tried to beat me up, or do I walk over to the stranger? I walked over to the kid that tried to beat me up.
Yeah.
And he introduced me to his friend. And then we hung out for 3 years. We started like a group. And
did you ever mention it to him?
Oh, yeah. We wrote about it in my yearbook. Yeah, he wrote it in my yearbook, actually. Because we would joke about it. And he's like, "Why did you want to beat me up that day?" Like we always say, like, "I don't know. I have no idea. We didn't know." But he said, "Matt, you remember this?" And he wrote it down. He's like, "We're going to fight. Why? We're going to fight. Why? Hee-yah!" And that was Jay beating him up. So he wrote it out in my yearbook, like the steps of what happened. I'm like, yeah, that's how it happened, and I have the yearbook here somewhere, so like from when I was at middle school, when you graduate, you signed the book. So yeah, and he didn't have an answer why. He was just one of those kids, and he did become a buddy of mine. We grew apart after that. We went to different high schools. I think he ran into my mother maybe like 10 years ago, or something, and they said hi. That was, it's pretty much. But we never really hooked up again. He did. What I did found out, he did become like. Are you still friends
with Jay? Are you still friends with that kid?
I still know Jay. And we don't see each other too much, but I still do know Jay. But
the funniest part of the story to me is that Jay just didn't even say anything to you.
I know.
He just like came over, did a choke out, and walked away.
Jay and I, we didn't talk too much about it. Be honest with
Yeah.
you, Jay got into a lot of fights in elementary school. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Jay was a buddy of mine. He was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Like in elementary school at that time.
Brugge, do you have something in mind that you want to talk about?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Wait, so Maddie, you just said the 80s, they just let us go. And it's really funny to me because I was in middle school, elementary school in the 80s,
Oh, yeah.
and then middle school, late 80s, early 90s, high school, early 90s. And it was like a fucking war zone. Like like teachers didn't get involved, people fighting. Like I just remember like kids smoking out by the band room. Everybody it was just mayhem in the school buildings. But
I never locked my bike up. I would always just like throw it in the street and not worried about, it was crazy. I don't know. It was like, I didn't, we would go to Burger King and like throw our bikes outside and we never locked it up and we didn't even worry about anybody stealing it or anything. It was different. I don't know.
So when I was bullied pretty badly, actually. When I was in 7th grade, I transitioned into middle school, and in my town where I grew up, you went from elementary and middle to high. So you were literally with the same kids throughout your entire education, like throughout like your entire, like, oh my God, I can't speak. Anyway, you were with all the same kids.
I gotcha.
So, so when I was in 7th grade, went to middle school, and I was little. I was like really little. I was so tiny. That's where I got the name Bean from.
Bean.
And I remember walking down the hall, and this 8th grader literally threw me against a locker, like just like took his hand and just went whoosh, and I flew right into a locker. But okay, so then this girl who moved into town that year, she came from Queens. Her name, I'll just say Kay. So Kay moved to our school. I started becoming friends with her. I was still friends with her in middle school. Now fast forward high school. And she started becoming friends with like quote unquote like popular kids. And so I was sitting in front of her, I want to say it was probably 10th grade. And she was making fun of me, the kids behind me, like her and another 2 kids making fun of me one day, like, but it was like nonstop. It was like bad bullying. And I wouldn't say anything, right? Because what are you going to say? What are you going to do? So like, I even think like gum, like throwing gum in my hair, like just awful, awful, awful. And at that time I was on track. And one of my core friends, it's so crazy because like in retrospect, it's bananas, but so I was being bullied, but my one friend was very popular. And she was like homecoming queen. She was like in the yearbook with like, always had a boyfriend since 7th grade. And she saw me once and I was crying in the girls' locker room. And that was like the really, really the first time that I was just like, I can't take this. Like I was just, so upset. And so I told her what happened. And she went up to the kids and she went, "Are you picking on my friend Janine Duguay?" And she like would never start anything. She was the sweetest. Everyone loved her. Like just wonderful person. So bubbly. And she's like, "You better stop picking on my friend." Like she literally got in their face and was like, "You better stop picking on my friend, Janine Duguay. She's my friend. You're making her," whatever she said. And then it stopped. And that was it. Like never again. So that's my bullying story.
That's your upstander.
That's my upstander.
Yep.
Sophia is my upstander. And I'm still like I said, I'm still friends with them. Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is Kay Sophia?
No. Kay was the girl. That
right. I'm sorry. Kay was the girl. Oh, right. Sorry.
She like turned on me in high school.
Right. Okay.
And now one of the kids who bullied me is now dead. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's it.
It's a great ending there, Brugge.
What'd you do?
Revenge is a bitch, boys.
Oh man, what an ending.
Yeah, I think this is a good time for me to jump into my story.
Anyway,
a
on
little,
the death of on the
little more
death
lighthearted.
of the Breeze bully.
I'm
Let's
gonna
go to Rob here.
I'm gonna share a screenshot here, and so you guys can. I don't know if you can see this. You can't really see my arm, but so I just want to, before I get into mine, one of the greatest movies, at least in my library, and this is from 1980. It's called My Bodyguard, not to be confused with The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston. My Bodyguard, and so it had like Matt Dillon was in it. This is kind of back in the back in the day when Matt Dillon was in all those movies. Adam Baldwin is in it apparently, but if you get a chance, you should go back and watch this. And it's the perfect movie for this topic because it's basically about someone who gets bullied and then they're upstander. Basically,
I'm sorry. Who is Adam Baldwin? You mean Alec Baldwin?
No, Adam Baldwin is one of the Baldwin brothers. There's like it's like three brothers, right? That are all actors.
Yeah, but
Adam.
I've never heard of Adam.
Yeah,
Alec.
Alec is the eldest Baldwin brother. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Daniel.
Okay.
There's Daniel.
Yeah,
right?
Daniel Baldwin
Daniel
and Adam Baldwin.
Yeah.
I think they're three. I could be, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that that's true. So anyway, here's the cover art. Here's all the, some screenshots and stuff. My Bodyguard, about to, because of this podcast, probably it's going to be number 1 on Netflix tomorrow. I mean, let's be honest. So, all right, I'm going to start off my story with a picture. So
I've been trending on FM podcast, by the way.
Okay. So this is me around, I'd say 1984. This one I had leukemia. So this is me like in the dugout with Willie Randolph and Tim Foley, who were two Yankees, right?
Wow.
So this is probably in the summer, I would assume. And so this is in the middle of like all the chemotherapy treatments. I've lost my hair, obviously. And I basically like dropped out of second grade. So like in April of second grade, I dropped out of school because I was in the hospital, and I didn't return to school until January of third grade. So I was out for like from April, like that, almost that entire year. Right. And so, I had a tutor named Mr. Hellman, like Hellman's the mayonnaise, but that's not anything to do with the story. So in the summer though, I went to camp, and, when I was in camp, I would wear a hat, obviously, because I didn't have any hair and I was self-conscious about it and whatever. And so we're sitting in this big auditorium, and there's kids sitting in front of me, and I'm sitting next to my friend Adam Golovinsky. Adam, if you're out there, I've been trying to find you. Adam Golovinsky, like in the time that I was gone, was basically sent to military school. He was like he was like my best friend in elementary school, but like one of the like worst behaved kids in the school, basically, And so I'm sitting next to Adam. We're in camp together. Kids in front of us are trying to get me to take my hat off. Like they're, kind of like want to make fun of the baldness or whatever.
Aww.
And Adam's like a second grader that curses. He's like one of those kids. He's like nothing, no holds barred, And he's just like, I think he was like, it was one of those things where he's like, shut the fuck up. And then he like yells out and he's like, hey, these kids are trying to get him to take his head, like just making a big scene. You know what I mean?
He's the good warrior.
He's the good warrior. Yeah. And like the kids got in so much trouble.
What an amazing friend. But
consider this too. So what these kids don't know is that this is the Greater Ridgewood Youth Council camp, right? Mm-hmm. And like my dad is like the president of the GRYC. So now the counselors are like, oh shit. Like of all the people, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. So my upstander was Adam G. If you're out there, I've been looking for you, and thanks for doing that. But,
that's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you become friends with him like the rest of school? Like,
we were best friends in elementary, like really good friends. And like I said, but like in the time that I was gone from school, when I came back to school, he was gone. Like he didn't.
Yeah, he was in the military. Yeah,
and I never, I never
found. I mean, but
never saw him again.
Found him. Like, okay, that was it.
No,
okay,
I have not been able to find him. No. So.
Did you get involved in his naughtiness?
No, I was like, it was a weird thing. I was always friends with kids who got in so much trouble. Like Sam is like this too, and I never got in trouble. You know what I mean? But like I didn't cross certain lines. You know what I mean? But I was like, Sam is like wildly entertained by kids who misbehave, you know, and he like loves hanging out with them and he's friends with them, but he doesn't cross the line and get in trouble also, you know, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah, Dylan doesn't either. Like, but they say hi to him, you know.
so yeah,
Like,
yeah, he's friends with
I,
them.
I was with him like about a week or two ago, and I was by his high school, and some kid was like, "Hey, Dylan," I was like, you know, and we were talking, and he told me like that kid, you know, the kid gets in a lot of trouble. You know, and then I was like, oh, he's you know, is he nice to you? I was like, oh yeah, yeah, he's nice to me and stuff like that. You know, it's interesting. You know, he knows the kids that do, and they're cool with him. But no, he won't cross that line either. You know,
Eh, eh,
I didn't either. But middle school, when I was hanging out with Chris, he did get in trouble, and so sometimes I did. It was almost like through association. You know, I would kind of, you know, I started to act up a little bit, but not as, you know, not that bad. You know. But that was the only time probably. High school, no, I was like invisible in high school. Yeah, it's
and
I
quiet.
mean, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was just gonna say I'm trying to think of other movies in like where there is an upstander. You know what I mean? Like where this character exists. You know,
Oh,
Mm,
lots of them. You know.
yeah.
I mean,
Um,
Never Ending Story, you know,
Mr. Miyagi.
uh, Mr. Miyagi was one for Daniel, you know. Never Ending Story. Oh no, he didn't get saved, but you could say that at the end, the Luck
The Luck
Dragon was almost
Dragon,
like
yeah, yeah.
was the upstand. They went after the kids at the end, right? They threw him in back. They threw the kids back in the trash. Well, they kind of jumped back into the trash where they threw him in, you know, like earlier in the movie.
You guys ever see Bug's Life?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, I wouldn't remember too much of it though. Yeah,
Yeah.
why? Was
I
there a
was
great
just
upstander in that?
Well, I guess you could say like you know, like does a person who what if a person is bullied at some point, but then they wind up standing up to the bully to protect their friends? Does that make sense? Like, does that person qualify as an upstander? Like, so
yeah. They
they
go
go
from the
from
victim.
right, and then
I
they
would think
wind up
so.
they become an upstander to stand up for
I would say so.
themselves, but also their friends, like more like to
Yeah.
protect their friends, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Flick from Bug Flick did
Yes.
that to
Right.
Hopper in
Right. Right.
Bug's Life.
Right.
Yeah.
Drew, do you remember like 15 years ago we made a video together and about with kids
What
like
kind
talk
of video, Maddie?
Please tell me this still exists.
it was a bullying video.
Uh,
Kids were talking about being bullied or and they actually and we showed it for like the whole, you know, whole school community, the
I think I
library.
I
actually remember
don't
this.
remember. I don't
You don't
remember.
remember?
There was an assembly. There was a bullying
No.
assembly,
Yeah, I
right?
definitely did an assembly, but I don't remember.
You don't remember the video?
No, I'm gonna have to go. I have to go through my old videos
I
and see.
guarantee you that she has it on her computer with
I
all the other
probably
videos of
do.
No,
everything else that she
the thing
hides.
that I remember the most is there was a girl that bullied kids, and she interviewed because it was like a documentary. We would interview the kids, right? And then I remember I interviewed her, and she said and she admitted, and this she's like, I am a bully. I have been doing it for a while, and then she said, but I'm trying to turn, you know, I'm trying to change and not do this anymore, you know, and I wanted to change my ways. And you know, she had a lot of guts. I remember for saying that because we were going to show it for the whole school. We had every class come down to the auditorium. Not just the teachers watched it first, but all the kids saw it. So she's admitting then that she
Mm,
was a bully to all the kids, knowing this, and then saying, "But I'm going to change it. But I'm trying to change my ways." Like that was big. Because
yeah.
then that told the little kids then if you were thinking about it like you shouldn't go down there. And I never forgot that this kid did it. You know, that's like a brave thing to do if you are the bully to actually say I'm not going to do this anymore publicly. You know,
I
it's
don't
wrong.
remember this video, but I'm gonna try to find
Nah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah. It was a
just
long time ago.
really quickly, when Dr. Neil comes on, I believe his dissertation was on cyberbullying. So like this, we can have a little offshoot of a comment. But like it just reminded me of something. Like while there is such a thing as cyberbullying and online bullying, whatever, there's something else that isn't talked about very frequently, I don't think, but it's very common. And you guys, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there are more and more and more, there are, I guess, videos of people being bullied that come out on social media, but with the intention of activating an army of people to go after the bully. Does that make sense? So like there'll be a video of someone like attacking an elderly person or something, knocking them down, or making fun of, someone making fun of someone else or whatever. And then in the comments, the people go absolutely crazy. And
what's the name of this trend? Like,
I don't know.
Trend?
It probably has a name, but the audience they basically become like at-home detectives. They figure out exactly who the person is that was doing the bullying, and then they just start acting like they start like calling the person's job and like you know what I mean, like and
Oh man,
and like they basically it's like
ruin their life. Yeah,
yes, yes,
it's
right.
it's like a revenge. It's a revenge thing.
It's like someone being canceled.
This is like something that would be on that Netflix show. What was that, Black Mirror?
Yes,
Mirror?
right.
Is it years later?
Because it's interesting because actually I was going to say that when we were younger, we didn't have phones, we didn't have social media. So it was like we went home, and that if you had a good home life, I was able to be okay. Like I wasn't coming home and being cyberbullied. I was able to go home and like forget about what happened during the day because I was with my brother and my sister and we were playing, or I was with my friends after school. So like now you can't do that. But that like that's a whole that takes it another step.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
I want to read something to you. So I'm going to give you an example and you can look it up yourself. There's a guy that I follow named Joey Swoll, like Swoll, which I guess is like slang for someone who's jacked, right? This guy is massive. He's a bodybuilder. So Joey Swoll, whose real name is Joseph Surgo, is a fitness influencer and bodybuilder known for his content on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. He's a professional wrestler and has competed in events like WrestleMania, Matt. Swoll gained recognition for his fitness content, including workout routines and motivational messages, and has been called the anti-influencer influencer. And so basically he's known for calling out individuals with toxic gym behavior and promoting gym positivity. So like there will be a video of, someone doing something in a gym, like picking on someone or making fun of someone, or some people will film other people in the gym and make fun of them. And so he'll take those videos and he comes on and he's like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, and he just like, this is never okay to do. And, the gym is a place for everyone. And he's really just like standing up for the little guy, basically, and he's got this massive following. But when he calls someone out on something, his like swole army swoops in, and they like take action, so like you don't want to get on Joey Swoll's radar by being a bully in the gym.
So I see that he had a feud with WWE superstars Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. So they play heels in the WWE.
Okay.
So the issue arose after Waller and Theory confronted it, exactly as you said, a gym goer for accidentally walking in front of their camera while filming. Swall criticized their behavior using his phrase, "You need to do better."
Yeah, you need to do better. Yeah.
I love that. You need to do better.
Yep.
That's great.
Gym positivity advocate. I'm going to tag him in this podcast episode. I want him to know that.
Tag him and like, let's see if he can come on.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
That would be so good.
Awesome.
That's the dream.
We'll get there, boys.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, we're going to have a few guests coming up soon. Dr. Oliva, I believe, is going to be joining us. And that's going to be awesome. We were talking to him, and another teacher, I think I know wants to come on. So we have some guests coming up for all you fans of Playing Teacher. We're going to be wrapping up, and this was a good one, guys. This was Brugge's Minecraft stories, some serious stuff Rob was talking about, and then just sharing our upstanding stories. This has been a great podcast today, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm Matt for Rob and Brugge. Thanks for coming on to Playing Teacher, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys
Later.